going to continue our talks on Sanyam. First, we talked on Ahimsa, Sanjamo, Tavo. Ahimsa is non-violence, which is the soul of Dharma for Mahavir. Sanyam is like a prana that connects your soul to the body, and the prana circulates throughout the body. And then ultimately, it's the tap, which is the actual actions that take place outside. The purpose of Dharma is to change you from all the negative life that we have been living so far and taking us into positivity. So, if we understand the concept of Dharma, the purpose of the Dharma, it's easier to look at it in an intellectual way and also in a positively changing way that can actually transform us. So, to get transformed, we have to understand what Dharma is. Buddha said that if Dharma cannot change you, it's not Dharma. Whatever else it is, but it's not Dharma. Bowing down to the temple, into the front of the statue, if it changes you, then it is Dharma. If it doesn't change you, it's not Dharma. The whole purpose of Dharma is to take you from the darkness to the light. So Sanyam is one of the method that Mahavir had preached. But Sanyam has been misidentified, misinterpreted, and obviously once you have a misinterpretation, your action also go in the wrong direction. I just came back from India. I spent a lot of time with my cousins, they're heavily into Jainism and all that. And we live in the area where Jainism is very popular. And he said that we have no way of knowing all these things unless somebody teaches us. So we rely on the Dharma Gurus and we hope that they are telling us the truth and they are showing us the right path. But I said it's not necessarily true. Well, he says, well, because they have spent so much time studying the scriptures and all these things, right? The studying of the scriptures is really not the same as experiencing what Mahavir had experienced. The Dharma is an internal transformation of your Chetana, where the Chetana is ultimately causing the effect on your body, which is material. So the Dharma is all about spirituality, and Dharma and the Shastras are all written in the books. How can you learn about something spiritual by something physical in front of you? So it's not necessarily true that Dharma Gurus are always gonna take you in the right direction. And that's why at the same time, there is no way of saying that which Dharma Guru is gonna take you, which Dharma Guru is not gonna take you either. And we are not here to really judge which Dharma Guru is right or wrong. Ultimate proof is inner mind. If you see that transformation is happening within you, you are on the right track. So whatever you get from outside, including all the religious preachings and shastras and whatever you see, if you are learning something from outside and that's making a change within you, then you are on the right track to go from materialism to the spirituality. So the Sanyam has been misinterpreted for thousands of years. Literally, Mahavir existed 2,500 years back. But for a long time, the Sanyam has been misinterpreted as control, controlling your senses. But Sanyam cannot be that. Sanyam is not like a flower which is going to fade at the end of the day and it's going to disappear. Sanyam has been prescribed by the Dharma Gurus, Jain Gurus and all that. Don't do this, don't do that, don't eat. Don't do this, don't eat after 6 o'clock, don't eat in the dark, watch for the bugs, this and that, all those things. But that's a negativistic way of looking at Sanyam. Sanyam is more like a positivistic way of looking at Sanyam, is what Mahavir had prescribed. And the way we have understood Sanyam so far has not been the correct definition. Sanyam is like a beautiful flower that opens up with the sunrise. And when that opens up, you find the inner light opening up, inner existence opening up, and based on your inner experience, when the material achievements, material advantages seem worthless, that's when the rise of spirituality has taken place. Sanyam is a positive state of joy. It's not like a pathological condition. If you look at the Dharma gurus, they are continuously saying, don't do this, don't do that. And any religion, it's not just Jainism, any religion, going to Catholicism or Judaism, they are continuously bombarding people. Apparently in Buddhism, there are like 33,000 conditions which has been written what you're supposed to do in which condition. Now, if 33,000 conditions was all, even though it sounds like a lot, I'm sure there's going to be some situations which going to fall out of those 33,000 conditions. What do you do after that? So following the guidelines can never be a dharma. Dharma is about spirituality. The spirit is free. It flows freely. To reach to that state of total freedom, you really have to come out of your bondages. And one of the bondages, which is the biggest, is the bondage to the scriptures. And it's very tricky because the scriptures make you believe that they're taking you to dharma. Going into alcoholism or drugs, or at least they are not faking. They are telling the truth that this is not dharma. But the worst damage has been done by the scriptures is that they're taking you to the dharma. So that's a double disadvantage in following the scriptures. The Dharma gurus, which have been prescribed all these stipulations one after another, if you look at them, they are never happy. They're always sad. They're always continuously trying to follow what they have preached. And on top of that, they're always busy looking at whether you are following those scriptures that they have been prescribing. So their mind is continuously in a turmoil. When that turmoil, they are following the rigid guidelines. So their mind has become rigid. And rigidity is close to materialism, is close to death. Death is when body stops moving. Until then, there was some life, the body was flexible and moving around. So flexibility is the name of the game. So rigid guidelines can never be a Sanyam. So Sanyam is a positive state of joy. That is something only you can experience. And when you experience, that's when you find the freedom. That's when you find the joy. That's when you find the happiness. A Sanyami person will have a positive state of innocence like a child, way to desire to explore life, desire to learn something new, desire to have a flexibility with the mind, the body, and the joy, the inner joy and the outer happiness. So that is the state of samadhi. The problem that comes in that we are not there. We have never experienced that state of Sanyam. So how can we understand anybody else? It's like almost we walk on the ground, and all of a sudden, if we see a fish for the first time, we're looking for the legs. Because that's our interpretation of how we locomotive around, we move around on the ground. So our idea of walking around, locomotion, is the legs. So it's our fallacy that we're looking for legs for the fish. So negativistic idea is what we are. We are in a state of negativistic ideas. We are surrounded by materialism. So for us to gain something in materialism is a positive gain, and lose something in a materialism is a positive loss, negative loss. So for us, something that is traded in a material world is something of a value. And when we have a value for something that we are trading, we'll never give up something that we are not gaining anything compared to the materialism. Yesterday I was at a party, so there was one lady. Her daughter is like, I think, second grade or something in Cedar Grove High School, and so she's quite active. She's from South, and she really believes education is very important. She takes a lot of control of her child's education. She goes and discusses with the teachers, and we discussed and discussed. He says that these people don't want to do anything until you actually prod them, because they are paid by the government and they really don't care. So until you really get after them, they are not gonna come to the terms to properly educate the children. It's not that they are not trained, but they just don't want to do it. So somebody suggests that maybe you should, take some political position in the school also. So that's one thing he says I don't want to do, because that's why in politics is nothing but pulling the legs. He says for every little things people are bickering. Every little thing, even by bickering in one fight that they have, they think they gain something. So then ultimately they want to become famous. They want to hold on to the position. So in another nutshell, she was talking spirituality. He says, I want to do the groundwork, and hopefully all the children will benefit of the class, but I don't want to hold any position. Politics is one of the stupidest game, one of the most foolish ways of really establishing your ego, that I gained this and I gained that, and ultimately what did you gain? So whatever you're gaining is something that's going to be buried with you anyway. Meanwhile, all the things that you're trying to gain, whether it is the fame or a position or money or sex or drugs or something, ultimately what is going to take you? Ultimately everything is going to be buried with you. But meanwhile, running after all these things prevents you from going within, where the treasures of the treasure is hidden. You think that, okay, I worked hard and I gained something, and you may think so under that illusion called Maya. That's the real illusion. We live our whole life, and then ultimately we die, and then we miss our opportunity to communicate with the inner self that exists. So we are negative. Our mind is negative. So the way we look at Sanyam is to controlling the senses. Don't do this. If your mind is running towards something, you control it. Mind is being pulled towards something, then you control it, you bring it back. So we are continuously in the process of controlling our mind. If the mind desires certain foods, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fast for today. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to have this today. And then you consider that as a victory. And you think that, okay, I have a desire to drink. Oh, today, this party, I'm not going to have a drink. And then you think that you achieved something. But who is running? And who is stopping yourself from running? You spending energy to run, and then you spending energy to control your run. Who is the winner? Who is the loser? There is a continuous battle going on in your head. One part of the mind says, I want to eat. Another part of the mind says, no, don't eat. But it's your mind. Ultimately, either way, you're spending the energy. It's almost like right hand fighting with the left hand. If you want, you can make the right hand win for today, until the desire comes up and the left hand wants to win. You can make that happen too. You are the creator of the victory, and you are the creator of the defeat. Ultimately, it's your energy that is being wasted. When you transcend both, when you understand the foolishness of both, that's when the transformation starts happening. So negativistic is controlling the senses is almost like losing the energy. You're wasting your energy. Wasting energy is easy. You are not constructing anything. When you have to construct a temple, what is involved? First of all, you have to have a blueprint. Then you have to have an architect. Then you have to go through the town, all the permits and all those things you have to go through. Then the architect has to pass the plans. Then you have to have a picture, if you have digital, how the temple is going to look. Then the actual construction has to take place. Then all the workers have to come who are skilled in doing the right job. The architect has to observe everything, and then finally the temple is created. It may take 6 months, 6 years. Look at the Swaminarayan temple. But to destroy a temple can happen. Wrecking crew, come on up, big metal ball, just throw it away, destroy everything. 2 days, the temple is down to the ground. When you are controlling your senses, you are on the path of destruction. First, you're spending energy to run towards the objects of pleasure, and then you are controlling yourself to stop yourself from running towards the objects of pleasures. But either way, the object of pleasure is in your center. Your mind is continuously revolving around that object of pleasure. The object of pleasure is the winner. If you drink and you says, okay, I want to make sure I don't get drunk because I have to drive home. Or I want to make sure that my liver doesn't get bad. If you're eating wrong foods, you want to make sure that next day I don't gain. How is it possible? You eat the wrong things and then you hope that you don't gain weight next day. So you are continuously, even before you start, or maybe at least in the middle of then the weighing scale starts running around in your head. That, okay, I want to make sure. Oh, the next day you gain only 1 pound. Oh, only 1 pound. Last party I gained 4 pounds. Thank God. So now I'm going to run again. Where are you going? You're wasting your precious energy. This energy could have been conserved and applied to reach to the higher level. The holding on to the energy and holding on to something precious. Meditation is like building a temple. When you build a temple, how much money, how much funds is all needed? Millions of dollars are needed. So much contribution, so many people have to contribute. All the money that you have collected, ultimately you put to work to hire the architect, hire the skilled workers and all that. Finally, a temple is built. Meditation is like building a temple. You realize where you are wasting your energy. You realize where your ultimate efforts are going. And you realize the futility of this game that you've been conned into. Your environment dictates you. 5 friends drink, say, okay, I'll drink too. No problem. Never realizing that next day you have to pay the price. So, continuous mind has to be applied to your actions so that you don't get drunk, you don't do this, you don't do that. So it's almost like walking on a slippery slope. That slippery slope, you can go this way or get that way. But your mind is continuously occupied. Samadhi is transcending the mind. Samadhi is a thoughtless state. A thoughtless state is never going to be possible if your mind is running around the objects of pleasure, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's undesirable foods, whatever it is. But mind is continuous, in a continuous state of action. When all the thoughts disappear, the samadhi state appears. That's almost like a serene lake where there is not a drop of activity happening. You reach to the spot where you have total nistarang man versus you have an ocean going on all the time. Before the party, during the party, after the party, until the next party, life is in a continuous flux in the motion, and more objects of pleasures. If it's not WhatsApp, it's this or that. It's a continuous motion state. You never experience the lake, the beautiful lake of Samadhi. So the state of Samadhi, one of the practice Mahavir had prescribed is called Samaik. Samaik, the Jains are required to do on a daily basis. When you understand the meaning of Samaik, it's beautiful. Mahavir never used the word dhyan. Buddha did, but Mahavir never did. Because for Mahavir, dhyan was almost corollary if you tell somebody to do a dhyan, the next question they will ask is, dhyan on what? So the other has to exist. Dhyan is a nistarang state where you have, in a thoughtless state, the other has no existence. It's only you and nobody else. And when even the idea of you, meaning your body, your mind, your ego, everything disappears and you reach to the state of thoughtlessness. So Mahavir thought that there was a pitfall in the word dhyan itself. So he created the word samayik. So samayik is equivalent to meditation in Jainism. But the origin of the word is beautiful. Samayik has something to do with time. Mahavir said, Atma is time. And go figure how. Anybody has any ideas why Atma would be time? Any guess? Any suggestions? I was totally baffled when I heard for the first time in Osho's lecture. I couldn't figure it out. Until, again, what state of mind you are in and how much you have more advanced, then you listen to the same lecture, it starts making sense. So the way Osho explains is that the material world that we see has three dimensions: the height, the width, and the depth. Three dimension everybody knows. But of course we know there is a fourth dimension. Even if there is a stone sitting there, over the period of years, the stone is going to be withered out. So there is an element of time attached to that. If you put a stone in a car and you start the car from your home to your work, stone is not going to change. But your mind is continuously active. Even before you sit in the car, you're already thinking about sitting in the car. So your mind is continuously racing. Mind is creating the time. Mind has a sense that it is going to do this next. And then once you finish your journey, you will recapture your journey which you just did. Stone will not be able to do that. So we have a higher state of consciousness that can create time, that can comprehend the time, that can understand the time. That's why we can discuss about the time, because all our minds are synchronized. If you start talking about time to the dog, it really doesn't matter. Dog doesn't care when he was born and when he's going to die. For us, all that matters. So for us, time exists. If you don't have enough consciousness, then time does not exist. So just the way the world is made out of four dimensions, three plus the element of time, our body is also made out of four dimensions. We have a physical body which has a shape, size, color, everything, which fits into three dimensions: height, width, and depth. But we also have the fourth dimension built into us, which we are aware of, and that's the time. So the sense of time gives you past. Sense of time gives you the future. And of course, corollary to both, if it is not past, if it is not future, whatever else is there is the present. So past, present, and future is the creation of time. So the Atma is continuously running. The consciousness is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, being aware of the past, present, and future. And that's where our whole life is revolving around. When that Atma becomes steady and stops its running around, its running activity comes to a halt, total steady state, that's when you reach to the Samadhi state. So Mahavir said, Samayik is your focus on the time. Time is the activity of your consciousness. But when you realize that that element is the most important, evolutionary, is most advanced element that has been added to the three dimensions, and when your meditation, dhyan, is on that element only, three dimensions automatically starts disappearing. with the thoughts and all that, the material world also starts fading away little by little. And all you are focusing on is the time element, how the time is running back and forth. That's when you learn how to observe the time. And the time starts also fading away. And then your inner consciousness reaches to a state of total samyak state. So that is samayik. That's what Mahavir has preached. So that's again one of the methods. So our efforts should be to reach to that state throughout our life, human life, because that's possible only in the human life. Let alone the perception of time is possible only in humans, but also to go beyond the perception of time is a state of samadhi that is possible, that we are disregarding the existence of it, is living in a material. Most of the people says that I meditate for a long time and I cannot reach there. Because it's not that dhyan is not effective. It's not that samayik is not effective. It's one of the most powerful tool around. But we're doing samadhi and we also running after the objects of pleasure. We keep our running continuously going on. We always think that there is something to get from the sansara. Yes, I want to do all these things, but I want to samadhi also. I want to have a piece of samadhi, but at the same time, I want to live my normal life. Jains will, as soon as pollution comes, they will do this and that. The next day, the business transaction starts and all the massacre in the market starts and eating starts and everything. So to have both is contradictory. It just doesn't make sense. So to have a success in meditation, you have to have commitment towards the spiritual, and you have to have a curiosity. How much efforts do we take to build a temple? That's how many efforts you really have to realize. You have to have a discriminative mind, that what is working, what is not working, drop the one that's not working, pick up the things that is working, and progress. That progress gradually is going to take you in the right direction. So having a state of samadhi is like creating a music, is like a melody. Otherwise, you're shouting. Shouting is easy. Fighting with each other is easy. But to love someone is tough. Hate someone is easy. But to love someone is very difficult, because you have to drop your personal ideas, your personal beliefs. And you have to, not only that, you have to accept somebody's ideas and somebody's beliefs. It's not easy. But if it was easy, everybody will be doing it, right? And we don't see any love in the world. So Mahavir was like a beautiful flower. He realized that concentration of your energy, of consciousness, is possible, that is within. And when you reach to the state of samadhi, it is so beautiful that automatically your desires for the material things will drop off. You analyze your action. What is in your hands? Do you have a diamond of samadhi, or you have a stone of material world? What do you have in your hands? You have a Merlot? Or not? Your actions decide. Your total inner psyche, whatever total energy you have, ultimately is reflected what you're doing. Whatever is your final action speaks for your inner state. And that is the truth. At that time, analyzing your action requires awareness. You decide. Nobody has to decide for you. So, whatever is your final outcome, you have to start be able to discriminate. And then only you can move on. But doing things mechanically, don't do this, don't do that. Oh, everything in moderation is okay, no problem. As if there is another Dharma Guru teaching you, no problem. Do this, it's okay. A couple of weight gains, couple of pounds of weight gain, not a big deal. Oh, take some extra pills or take some extra insulin, it's okay. Fine, no problem. But then you will never come out of the material gains. The game that you're playing around for millions of years is the game of Monopoly. We never really come out of playing dolls. We are never going to rise above the existing status that we have. The people like Mahavir, Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, they live from within because they have gotten the diamonds. Now they have the diamonds, they don't see any need of holding on to the stones. There is no room. How much can you hold on to? If you have so much satisfaction of samadhi state, that can happen, and they are the proofs. They dropped. They gave up millions of dollars equivalent of wealth. All were kshatriyas. They were princes, every one of them. They gave up a lot of things. Compared to you and me, they had 10 times more or 100 times or 1,000 times more wealth, yet they gave up. For us, that's all we see, that giving up is Sanyam. It's not. That's a negativistic definition of Sanyam. But we only see what they dropped. But the diamonds are within that they received. The stars that they saw, the starlight they saw was in the inside sky. The space was lighted up with the light of awareness, light of joy, light of happiness, that they did not see any need for the things they were holding on to. Whether you have stones in your hand, the fact that you still have the stones in your hand, that means you have not received the diamonds. It's an automatic thing. The thing which is superior is always caught up, and the thing that is inferior is always dropped off. You were playing with the doll. When actual dolls appeared in your life, there was no need to play with the dolls. The fake money of Monopoly game was not important anymore, because then you started playing with real money. The superior thing, when it appears in your life, the inferior thing always drops. That's the name of the game. You do not have to try to drop the fake things. You do not have to try to drop the inferior things. The fact that you still have to try to drop the inferior things, that means you don't have superior things in your life. You have not realized the state of samadhi. So the nature of the superior things, that you will get attracted to it. And the nature of inferior things, that you will not care for it. But that conversion will happen if the dharma is established within you. With the power of a samadhi state, that is possible. That inferior things will start looking inferior, and the superior things will emerge from within. It's not going to come from outside. None of the spiritual thing is going to come from outside. It has to spring from within. And when your efforts will start bringing the results, and the inner superior state will start appearing, the inferior will not have to be held on to anymore, or will not have to be fought for. You will not have to fight or drop the negativistic things. They will drop off. So if you are still holding on to the material things, all that means that you have not gotten the taste of spirituality. So your efforts should be to drop the things. Your efforts should be to light up the inner sky. See the beautiful light of your inner awareness and the inner consciousness. So the method is wrong. So to understand the definition of Sanyam, if you make a wrong definition, you are on the wrong track right from the beginning. Osho always gives an example that you are on Chauraha intersection, and you make a right turn, and then you go on. You have a lot of other people told me, say, oh, okay, let's go on make a right turn, and you go on 500 miles, and you go on, and all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I was supposed to make a left turn, not the right turn. And now, 500 miles you have to go back, first of all, and nobody else is going back. Everybody is going in the right direction, not on the left direction. What do? So you finish your life as if they all are right. We never wake up. It's surprising. Even after realizing the truth, we don't wake up. So, if the definition of Sanyam is a negativistic definition, that's your firm belief that fighting the senses is the right way to do it, you will keep doing it. First, you will have a energy spent running towards the objects, and no, I should do this, so I'll go in that direction. All your life, all the precious energy that is given to you, you'll be wasting till you die. And most of the people do that. Even after knowing all these things, they don't want to meditate. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do this. I would rather hang out with the right company, enjoy my life, and that's the end of it. What else is wrong? Fine, no problem. But the pleasures of life will be kept away from you. So giving up, we call Sanyam, not acquiring something. It's totally different dimension in your mind that you can have. Giving up something, it becomes the motto of life. All the religions are based on telling you that don't do this, don't do that, give up this and give up that. I was in India, I went on a run to a nearby park, right? And I was in shorts, and we have a Dharnidhar Dirasar right nearby. So I said, let me just, which not that I care about too much, but I went anyway. I said, let me just go, do darshan. So I was almost ready to finish and leave. So one guy who was doing puja, and he says, oh, you can't do this over here. I said, what? I didn't think much about it. Oh, you can't wear chaddi here. He said, you cannot come to Derasar with the shorts, right? So I said, why? He said, because your legs are open, that's an insult to God. I said, your arms are open. He was having the silk cloths. I said, what's wrong? He said, no, that's okay. Legs are inferior, so it should not. I said, but Mahavir, look at Mahavir. Mahavir is not wearing anything. So blind faith has been going on for thousands of years. And we never think anything out of it. Our routine mechanical life goes on as if there is nothing wrong. And that dictates. So Sanyam, negativistic definition of Sanyam, is going to take you into darkness of life until you die. You will never have a positive state of joy. So Sanyam is a positive state. It's not a negativistic. But only if you make the definition right, then your efforts also will go in a positive direction. You will meditate, you will do dhyan, you will do samayik, and you will do the soul searching where all my suffering is hiding. Where my enemies, that Mahavir calls kasais, mad, moh, krodh, and maya. These are the things that are taking the sap out of your life. Where you're making mistakes, nobody says that overnight you're going to be Mahavir or Buddha or Krishna or Jesus. But with your enough efforts, you will be able to analyze every action that you did. And with the light of awareness, you will see, okay, this is where I made a mistake, which I should not have. I will correct it next time. But next time, I'm not going to let my energy flow in a negative direction. If I make a mistake as a doer and then I suffered, I'll correct the next time. I will be a non-doer. I will remain in a non-challenged way as if I have no control on the rest of the world. And that conserves a lot of energy. And that energy you will appreciate only next time when you meditate. And you will go to the higher level, and then higher level, and then higher level. There are multiple steps you can go further. And the joy becomes exponential, more and more and more. So much for today on Sanyam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.